Music is crucial to a filmmaker. It creates an atmosphere around visual cues and can be used for beautiful transitions. However, one of its most frequent use is to give the viewer an immersive experience. Make us feel what the character is feeling. Show us what the atmosphere is like. Empathy is a part of immersion. Whether the character is lovable or a total asshole matters less. But one thing is certain. We should care for the protagonist, or at least the outcome of his or her doing. This helps us understand the character's feelings, paranoia, and state of mind. Immersion encapsulates a lot of different senses, because it entails absorption, involvement, and exposure to what the content in front of you has to offer. And when these elements all work together, they help the viewer transcend visual and tactile senses of the self. This is what David Lynch thinks about the fragility of immersion.
And a lot of these things in cinema are so tender. If a piece of music is a little too loud, it breaks the mood. If it's too soft, you don't feel it. If this transition bumps or something happens, you throw it out. It's such a tender thing.
By its very nature, immersion is subjective and hard to execute, because one needs to care in order to get absorbed into something. This may be being in the shoes of the protagonist, caring for characters, or breathing the fresh air of Twin Peaks when its main title sequence plays. David Lynch is a master when it comes to music and filmmaking. There aren't many filmmakers who can use music like him to manipulate the viewer's emotions. This is not a coincidence, considering he is a musician himself with multiple albums under his belt, although he doesn't consider himself as one.
So what about David Lynch the singer?
I am not a musician and I'm not a singer, but I do make music and sing.
A little more, please, on that.
I always say Angelo Badalamenti brought me into the world of music.
In some of his most prominent work, Lynch chose to closely work with Angelo Badalamenti. The duo would go through moods, music, and instruments to get the right feeling. Lynch would tell stories, and Badalamenti's musical genius would transform them into music.
What do you see, David? Just talk to me. And David would say, okay, Angelo, we're in a dark woods now. And there's a soft wind blowing through some sycamore trees. And there's a moon out, and there's some animal sounds in the background, and you can hear the hoot of an owl, and you're in the dark woods. Just get me into that beautiful darkness with the soft wind. And I started playing. David would say, that's great. I love that. That's a good mood. But can you play it slower? And I'd say, slower, David? Okay. And I'd go. He says, that's it. That's a good tempo. Just keep it going slow like that. David's mind, you can just see that he was visualizing the description that he envisioned. then he would say, okay, Angelo, now we got to make a change, because from behind a tree in the back of the woods, there's this very lonely girl. Her name is Laura Palmer, and it's very sad, but get something that matches her. And I just segued into this.
This was exactly how the famous opening of Twin Peaks' Laura Palmer's theme was composed. This scene in Mulholland Drive still causes anxiety in me, although I already know what is about to happen. The character here even tells the viewer the source of the fear.
There's a man in back of this place. He's the one who's doing it. I can see him through the wall. I can see his face. I hope that I never see that face ever outside of a dream.
Lynch chooses not to show this source until the viewer is fully immersed in the scene.
That's it.
So, you came to see if he's out there.
To get rid of this god-awful feeling.
Right then.
So what does Lynch do to immerse you in the scene? The music in this scene starts very early, however, it is mixed up with the background noise. As we draw closer to the source of the fear, the characters' voices are muffled and the music takes over. He also narrows the frame as we get closer to the source of the fear, denying the viewer any chance of escape. By the time you realize what has happened to the music and the frame, David Lynch has already taken you into his world.